Life is Strange is a game that's actually very special to me. I enjoyed it quite a lot. It's a game that I think I could go back to, probably again and again, every once in a great while. Maybe to show it to someone who's never played it, never seen it. It's a game that it's kind of like a movie. It is a game that I can experience. I would say probably, at least in my mind, indefinitely. But in light of the announcement of the new Life is Strange game, and just overall, don't nod. I want to talk about how I feel. I'm disillusioned, would say, with the Life is Strange series, the franchise. It's, I guess, three games, the franchise now. Well, I guess 4 games, if we count Before the Storm, which I kind of don't. But so, again, I love this game, and despite people thinking that Life is Strange was always queer bait, always woke, I don't think so. Not with the first game, at least. Like, the first game, if you've actually played it, the lesbian relationship between Max and Chloe that I guess the majority of the fan, I don't know if it's the majority, I don't know, the loudest of the Life is Strange fan base has globbed onto is pretty much actually optional. And when I played it, I mean, I'm not intentionally, I don't know, there was some kind of hidden things to actually get certain things to happen. I never actually had Max and Chloe kiss in the end. They hugged, they were best friends. And honestly, from the things I've seen, I don't feel like the game justified a possibility of a romantic relationship between Max and Chloe. I feel like it was kind of forced. It was like, essentially a lot of choice-based games have this, where if there's 2 different outcomes, there's one that obviously the writers had in mind, that they focused a lot more into versus the other option. Even though if the option's there, it's kind of hand-waved. And essentially a choice that is still an illusion of choice, where it can affect the outcome, but not in a satisfying way that makes sense and flows as a narrative. That's how I feel about Max and Chloe's relationship, their possible romantic relationship.
Look at this crap. How can I show this to Mr. Jefferson?
Can I show it to a Archie rapist?
Why Argus?
Fuck, I just got demonetized.
You feel like totally haunted by the eyes of
all the
this
stuff I'm going to say
Did
about this, I'm
anybody
going to
else
get
looked at this?
demonetized, but
What would
anyway,
they
I don't
say?
really care about that.
He's tortured, right?
But yeah,
Frankly, it's
so,
bullshit.
yeah, take selfie.
Keep that to yourself. Seriously, though, I could frame any one of you in a dark
when I played this game,
what you kids call
it was like the first narrative experience I've had in a long time of gaming.
as a gift.
I was a Halo boy, Not that I, like, a good portion of my teenage youth was Halo. Up until like Halo Reach,
I couldn't resist.
and then
The point remains
Halo
that
4,
the
which I wasn't
portraiture
as
has
satisfied
always
with.
been a vital aspect of art and
And then I was like really excited for
as long as
Destiny.
it's been around.
I thought Destiny was going to be a
Now, Max,
sci-fi
since you've
fantasy
captured our
epic
interest
of a
and cleared
story.
up our joint
That's what it was built
conversation,
up
can
as.
you please
That's what I
tell us the name of the
expected.
process that gave
Of course,
birth
that's not
to
what
the
we
first
got.
self-
I still enjoyed the game,
But
even though
You
you know,
either
it
this or not.
was the first,
Is there
it's actually the first
anyone
live
who
service,
knows
first
this stuff?
workaholic type of game I played, and it took me to kind of a dark place. And it's kind of, it's like a reason why I can't play Destiny anymore. But anyway, point being,
Very good,
is that
Victoria.
Life is
The
Strange
Victorian
came out
process brought out
when I
fine
was like
people's faces,
really,
making them
really,
extremely popular from
really
the 1800s onward.
wanting to
The first
play
American daguerreotype
something that was
self-portrait
narrative.
was done by Robert
Like,
Cornelius.
I was essentially thirsty
You can find out
for
all
a
about
narrative
it
experience.
in your textbook.
So I'm not going to say there wasn't some bias going into it that obviously affected me liking the game more than probably any person, who's just interested in playing the game but not thirsty for a narrative experience. Kind of like how Outer Worlds was a good game, but it was a limited game. And I'm not saying they didn't, you know, try to set people's expectations, what they say that the scope of the game, but they could have done more with it overall, even gameplay wise and RPG elements. You know, hell, they had, you know, like New Vegas had ammo types. They didn't really have anything like that in Outer Worlds. So they could have done more, basically. Take a picture. But people really loved it because, you know, what was the last Fallout-ish game came out? It was 76. So people were thirsty for a 76 type of experience, or not 76, a Fallout type of experience, either that or as what, you know, people wanted Outer Worlds to be, a Fallout successor. So at the time, you know, people accepted it with open arms, despite the game being just really okay, like good okay, but not. It wasn't a masterpiece, was what I'm saying. I don't think Life is Strange is a masterpiece if I have to think about it extremely critically.
I just don't think
but I still absolutely love the game. Now, of course, when I talk about, like, if I'm trying to remove the bias that formed when I first played Life is Strange, I would say that, yeah, the characters can be cliche, especially the side characters that you talk to. Obviously, if you're looking right now, there's technical shortcomings. There's a bit of flatness to the characters' facial animations. You know, obviously their lip syncing is a big issue. And sometimes, as you know, just earlier, there was a bit of a stuttering. But still, absolutely love this game. Love it so much that I bought it 3 times. I bought every episode as they came out on Xbox 360. I bought it again when I got a collector's edition. I got that for PS4. I think I got a physical collector's edition for PS4. I believe, I have to check. Yeah, I think when they came out with the collector's edition, I bought that, the physical release. And I bought it again digitally on PlayStation because it was like super cheap on sale, and I was like, fuck it, I'll own it digitally as well. I just, you know, I absolutely loved the game. And that brings me to what I kind of feel about the whole franchise in general, and it's not good. Like, I basically, without, you know, repeating myself too much, yeah. To me, the romance between Max and Chloe, optional. You can go through the game without having to see a hint of that if you play it, you know, platonically. Except for the pool scene. The pool scene was forced, and it felt weird, especially if you didn't have any, like, hint of romance between Max and Chloe. Which, again, I felt the romance... Okay, here we go. This one, I wanted to talk about this. Well, briefly.
I'm good to flow. Thanks.
See, okay, so she says she's good to flow about tampons. Now, that's, to me, the only woke things in the first game. Like, it's not so heavy-handed in the sequels. Like, the first game, I see this as, no, this isn't pushing a woke agenda, she's a dumb 18-year-old, and dumb 18-year-olds say dumb, stupid shit, and, you know, they try to fucking put up a sign and go, look at me, I'm special, look at me, I'm progressive, or whatever. I mean, that's kind of been, like, dumb, young and dumb girls, you know, from the get. That's nothing, it's not like, I can separate the art from the artist and say, that's not an agenda pushing, that's just a character. And I'm fucking fine with that. And I can still enjoy this game, you know, without having to, you know, think about stuff like that. Like, that doesn't have to bother me. You know, not too much anyway. But
am I going crazy?
And then, you know, I mean, like, Life is Strange 2 came out, and again, me completely fine that it wasn't Max and Chloe. I wasn't a rabid fan, one of those, you know, parts of the rabid fan base that, oh no, I want my lesbian couple, gotta have my lesbian couple, yay, lesbian power. I didn't care about that. I didn't see the game as that. I saw it as 2 best friends reconnecting from being, you know, separated for just life shit happens, and they're not in control of their own destinies because they're children. and
Something like
you know, a sacrifice that had to happen due to essentially destiny and fate, right? You know, spoilers. Chloe was meant to die, and that's why I accept. To me, the choosing Chloe, sacrificing Chloe, is the canon ending. They put so much effort into the final cutscene if you chose to sacrifice Chloe. There's so much more impactful, and narratively it just makes sense because Chloe wouldn't. I mean, Max wouldn't continue using her powers. It was obviously causing the storm. The storm was her. She was fucking with time. Now she was able to use what she learned through messing with time to bring the people responsible for justice, this psychopath, and you know, the big boss psychopath, fucking the Mr. Mark Jefferson, who,
I hope you
like,
check the perimeter as
that's one thing that, again, about the clichéness of characters. When you find out that Mark Jefferson is the bad guy,
Not me.
Oh, boo-hoo,
and he's
little
like,
rich kid. I know you've been
I'm
pumping
super
drugs and shit
arch
to kids
now,
lately. I
Max.
bet your respectable
Yes.
family would
Let
help
me
you
let me
out if
put
I
on
went to
my
them.
rapey
Man, I
voice.
can see the
Yes.
headlines now.
Oh, you're so. It's like, it was just like, really?
I can tell
Do we have to
everybody
completely
that's got
change
some punk ass
his
who begs like a
entire
little girl
fucking
and talks to
personality?
herself.
Can't he just be a creepy, psycho,
Where'd you get that?
fucking
What are you
rapey,
doing? Come on, put that thing
obsessive, murderous teacher? You know, like, again, Andy Warhol,
down.
essentially.
You would get in hella more
Because I
trouble
mean, as
for
far as
this
I know,
than
Andy Warhol
drugs.
did like crazy shit like that too. Just
How
how I don't know. I don't know how far it went. Who knows? He could have been just as bad. But either way, it's a whatever. I mean, yeah. I'll just say it. He's essentially an Andy Warhol, and so yeah, this is, you know, Chloe's destiny, and it's tragic. It makes you tear up if you're invested in the characters, and I was invested in the main characters. You know,
He shot that poor girl.
and
I held up my
so again,
hand.
to me, the story was complete. Max and Chloe were done. Chloe died. Max gave up using her powers.
I already heard this.
I don't know if she thought. They never said if she actually lost her powers, but she gave up using them.
Now Kate is being hassled again.
And then, so we have Life is Strange 2. We have two new characters. We have, you know, you play as you play. There are stories about two brothers, and you play as the older brother.
Condition in black and white.
Now, it wasn't until actually playing the
If I'm
game
crazy, I might as well go all
that
the way.
you know, I realized you don't
Can I
actually
actually
have
play
any
the first
powers.
time?
That, you know, it's essentially an NPC, your little brother, that has the power, has telekinesis. Was the power in Life is Strange 2. And then you're basically like trying to do survival. Like you have to. But it was different. It was a nice change of pace from from Life is Strange. In this game, the whole point is, you know, the gimmick is to rewind time.
Why Arbus?
You know, to learn things and get the conversations perfect, because you can just keep going back, right? You know, you can focus, think about that choice. And then Life is Strange 2 is like curveball, actually a proper way of you know, using the term that does not, you know, sound good anymore, but subverting expectations.
I can tell.
So they went from a game where, you know, you could meticulously pick your choices and go back on
What if
things
that girl isn't dead yet?
within reason. Then Life is Strange 2 is like, nope, you're stuck with the choices. You better make the right ones, or the ones that you are comfortable with. No going back. And that was interesting. Like, choosing to be a good boy and not stealing money from the cookie jar, essentially, the savings jar, meant I had not as much money
I'm sorry.
to
I feel sick. May
not
I
as much
see-
money to you know, whatchamacallit, spend on you know, supplies to survive.
Jefferson
And I was like, I had to deal with that. I wouldn't just restart the game and have to try to go, you know, because I was already so far in when I realized, oh shit, if I didn't take that money, so I have less money. You know, like choosing, you know, whether or not to shoplift for survival and what to shoplift. And, you know, like, hell yeah, to me, definitely shoplift if, you know, if it's for absolute survival. And, you know, thinking like, oh, do I try to go for something that's bigger, like a sleeping bag, which I didn't do. I went for, or did I go for a camper? I don't remember. Either way, point being is that,
The Daguerrean
you know, it
process,
changed things up.
invented by a French painter
It
named
changed things up,
Louis
and
Daguerre.
the story
Around
between the two brothers
Somebody
intrigued
has
me
been reading
enough
as well as posing.
to ignore how fucking woke it was getting. Because obviously, Life is Strange came out before the whole Trump election, which, you know, everyone around the world decided was their fucking business and had something to say about it in every art medium that you just wanted to fucking know, not have to deal with politics and everything and whether or not you people like Trump. And then, of course, you know, the mechanic of reading text messages and stuff from your friend is like, they decided to set it, you know, during the time of the election and be like, oh my god, if he wins, whatever. And of course, you know, you play as a fucking a fucking Mexican American fucking, I think, second generation immigrant or third generation immigrant. And so it's like, you know, he's got a bunch of, you know, minority friends that's gonna all share the same exact opinion as he does, and like, oh my god, which again, I could ignore as they be dumb kids. So I can ignore and say this isn't the developers pushing things, they be dumb kids. But then there's the kidnapping scene, you know, and Life is Strange 2 episode 1, and that was a bit, yeah, when the fucking they never build that. That's why they gotta build that wall. Kidnapped him. I mean, he was trespassing, but it was a bit much. It was like my suspension of disbelief at that point was like, but thankfully the scene didn't last too long. And then we go to the creepy web designer dude that's at a coffee shop talking to a teenager about nude art modeling, or what it, like watching naked people. I forgot what it was exactly. I only played the episode once, but I was like, okay, this guy's fucking creepy. This guy's probably gonna be like some kind of fucking fat white neckbeard like pedophile or something that I'm gonna have to escape. But then it turns out he's like the nicest guy of all time. And that I was like, are you guys trying to like say a message like the creepy fucking internet cafe dude, and like how the whole stereotypes of pedophile is like, oh no, it's not, he's just the coolest guy. I'm not saying neck-bearded fucking internet cafe dudes are pedophiles. I'm just saying, like, you purposely made this guy come off as creepy, and he's talking about naked people, and then it's like, oh no, don't judge a book by its cover. We got to teach you dumb kids some life learning lessons. He's actually super nice, and it was like, okay, whatever. Like, again, I could ignore it because I was still enjoying the core story. But then, you know, they had made a fucking very bad business decision and decided not to sell episodes separately after episode 1. They consider like episode 1 like buying a fucking demo and making you essentially crowdfund a major publisher backed sequel to a award-winning fucking game. And that just, that upset me, and so much to where I actually ignored playing the whole series when I had the chance to when it was on Game Pass. And so I never played the rest of Life is Strange 2. Oh yeah, shit. So I never played the rest of that. Oh yeah. Hold on. I'm a little tired, and I know I got gameplay. Man, you fucking psycho! Anyway, yeah. And okay, so that's, you know, that was when they're starting to push things. They could tell which way they were leaning. They decided to, you know, statements over substance. And I you know, I kind of should have saw the writing on the wall, considering Before the Storm, and I didn't get to talk about that yet. I never played Before the Storm. I had no interest in playing Before the Storm because I mean, I'm not one of those people that's like I don't, when you have a character that is developed as someone who is either missing or dead, missing turned out dead like it was in the game, And basically, they're essentially a legend. So Rachel Amber, you never actually get to see her in the game. There's no flashbacks. You know, she's just talked about, and you learn about, you know, everything about her. She's essentially Rachel Palmer. So basically, they decided Rachel Palmer, Laura Palmer, essentially. That's what Rachel Lambert kind of was, because again, I actually watched Twin Peaks for the first time earlier this year. Yeah.
You look a little
So
stressed out.
no, now I can see that, you know, how some games are inspired by Twin Peaks, and essentially this game definitely is, with the whole Rachel Amber thing. You know, everyone, she was this perfect girl apparently. Everyone loved her, and kind of she's Laura Palmer. Yeah, it was blatant copy.
Well, talk to me.
And just like what I learned with Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, like, you know, you didn't need to get the whole flashback. It kind of was a waste of people's time. Aside from some nice quirky bits, like, unless you were, you know, a big fan of the Twin Peaks franchise, that movie was made for no one else, and it was barely serviceable to the actual Twin Peaks fans. You know, I would say, at least when I watched it after, and that's kind of how I initially already felt with Before the Storm. It's like, I don't need to know about the exact details with what happened with Rachel Lambert and Chloe, and also I kind of wasn't interested in at the time, blatantly be told a non-supernatural version of the game. But the biggest thing that got me was the fact that, as far as I know, Don't Nod wasn't developing it, and they weren't writing it. And actually the biggest thing was the fact that Ashley Birch wasn't voicing Chloe because of the union voice actor strike at the time. But then, you know, she still wanted to work on the project, so she was able to get on board with it by doing writing. And then I heard about her, and she's like, oh, you know, blah this and blah this about Chloe. Chloe's actually gender fluid. She's a non-binary character. And I'm like, what? And this time I was starting to kind of just first hear about what this bizarre world of, you know, non-binary people, and like wanting so much to be seen and understood, not just understood, but, you know, forced to be basically accepted and, you know, celebrated for not having a label, for basically not conforming. So it was weird. It was like, you want us to conform to your non-conformity. Okay, you know, someone wasn't given enough hugs and kisses growing up, maybe too much hugs and kisses, and you need all the hugs and kisses. And I just, like, there was a video. I forgot who it was. It was one of those things where, like, I saw a good video from a YouTube channel, so I was subscribed, and then eventually saw another video, and then was like, what the fuck is this shit? And unsubscribed. And that video was basically like 5 examples of, or I think it was, I'm not sure if it was saying like the greatest examples, but essentially 5 examples of non-binary characters in video games. And like, they were the dumbest fucking, they were so reaching in their choices. Okay, and now, you know, some might say, well, that's because we don't have representation, and that's why we're demanding representation. But it's like, here's the thing, I don't give a fuck about representation. I am as straight and fucking, you know, don't give a fuck as they come. I don't care if your character is straight or gay or a fucking unicorn dressed as a gazelle being chased by a child with a propeller head. I don't care what that was. I was trying to be as Again, random as fucking sense that this don't make sense to me, but fine,
This is a great
whatever.
image. All those
Like,
rippling green
as
colors.
long as the characters make
I hope
sense,
everybody got
you
the
know?
wish.
As long as they fit in the world that you designed,
This day has been so
then I don't
amazing.
care. Like, I've seen gay characters in
Everything's
shows and
happening
didn't,
too
you know,
fast.
bat a fucking eye because it was
Nobody
written
makes
well,
any
you know?
sense.
And
These visions,
and
this-
also, if the show is about gay characters and like Will and Grace, then
keep expecting
fine.
to wake up
That's
one
what the
morning.
show's about.
But, if
But
it's
there's a
vision
difference between that and something being blatantly forced in.
which
It's
means
like a
somehow
bad green screen
they
effect.
rewind time.
Like Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It's so off. Everything looks so stenciled in. The images look so flat and non-blending that you're just like, that's wrong. That's why is that like that? Stop it. That's what I don't like. It's not that I don't like gay people. I'm fucking fine with gay people and queer people. It's that it's when things are forced and it's like my brain's like, no, wrong, fix it, doesn't work. Just make it make sense. Like the existence of gay people makes sense to me. Being told that, you know, I must cheer at gay pride parades despite, you know, just wanting to do my own thing, or else I'm, you know, persecuting gay people, if not being, you know, hand in hand with them within everything of their bullshit. Because again, I just don't want to be involved in other people's bullshit. I feel like most people are like that. I don't feel like most people don't want to be involved in other people's bullshit. And that's the world I wish I could live in. Just not being involved in people's bullshit. I like this one. I like this.
Oh, that's not nice.
Poor little otter. It's cool though. It's cool though.
Ew, gross. At least switch to E6.
See again, I don't see that as this for even this first game. I don't see that as wokeness. I see that as her just being fucking, you know, young and dumb and, you know, thinking that she's gonna save the world. Because everyone thinks that when they're younger. Everyone thinks that everything rests on their shoulders. They are the future. You know? But, yeah, so this video, it had some, like,
Yo,
absolutely
check out the maps.
absurd
Come to thrash.
examples of, like, gender or non-binary characters in
Thrash?
games. It was like,
Stage diving
oh,
or-
Sheik.
You're such a
Sheik
poser.
from
You can't even
Ocarina
name
of
a
Time.
slide or a tray
It's
flip.
like, oh yeah,
Walk
because
off.
Zelda, she transformed herself into a man. That's non-binary. I'm like, no, that was a disguise.
We're done
Like,
talking.
she's still a
You're too
woman
sketchy.
with lady parts that I'm sure thinks of herself as a woman. So that's not non-binary. In fact, that's as straight and narrow as they come, is a disguise. Like, if I could magically turn myself into a chick, first of all, of course, I'd play with my tits, because anyone would. Even girls with big tits say they play with their own tits. It's just what you do. I would try to, you know, obviously experience, because I'm, you know, well, that's if I wasn't, like, you know, trying to stay in disguise and worry about fucking getting, you know, captured and my powers used for evil. I would obviously, oh yeah, but I wouldn't consider myself, like, non-binary. It's like, and it's just, I'm transformed into a girl and can experience, you know, having the body of a chick for a moment. And hell, that might maybe be more understanding of people of different body types, you know, and stuff. Like, obviously, I'm not going to fully understand what it's like being a girl, because I'm not. I'm a man. Even, you know, men who want to become women are never going to fully experience what it's like being a woman, because that's just fact. Like, that's the one. Until we can create fully synthesized bodies that have nervous receptors to experience everything that you know, a female body goes through, or the opposite sex. That whole, you know, that empathy of understanding is never going to be a thing. It's going to be a thing within logic and reason, within as much as you can try. Because, again, there's only so much. There's only so much that you can do to try to empathize or understand another person. You know, you're lying if you say you understand anyone else but yourself completely. In fact,
Yo,
most people don't understand themselves as
I came with no
completely.
slide.
That's just
But I'd love to see somebody do a tree flip.
human fucking
Oh,
nature,
sick.
which,
You're not a poser.
you know,
Yeah,
now
I
that
just
brings me
can't stand
to,
much shit.
Aw, check it. We're gonna destroy some
yeah,
roads
so again,
today.
that's why I
What do you
didn't
wanna
play
see?
Before the Storm. Because you had Ashley Birch actually, yeah. See? Girls will never experience that because they don't have balls. You know, it's and just completely exploit him. Because again, it's for laughs. It's like, you know, it's a guy thing. Exploit other dudes' pain. It's what we do. In fact, you know what? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have Max here be a little empathetic with the dude bros, and I'm not gonna rewind that. You know what? Because she's actually, this is her being inclusive with the boys. You know, or her being included, not inclusive. They're including her, and that's great. You know, that's
What's up, Danny?
nice.
Oh,
That's
hi, Max.
harmony.
Could I ask you a question?
But
Would you mind?
so
playing
basically, yeah,
sketchy?
Ashley Birch being one of the writers, saying that she sees Max or sees Chloe as non-binary,
I'd be honored.
that someday she feels like a boy,
I feel like a muse.
man, then she feels like a girl, to depending on like what kind of thing she's gonna do throughout the day. She's gonna take charge. That she's gonna be a man, which is to me that's weird. I've never fully understood that about the woke crowd because
No, but she
it's
has
like
something
you
to
hate
offer.
men,
Oh,
you hate
she
the
was mentioned.
patriarchy that you believe exists, yet
Hard to avoid her posters
you
all over campus.
label
Cute to see
masculinity
her sweet face.
when it
She
comes
was
to
a
non-binary as being in charge, being more, you know, focused, order, all this stuff that men stand for,
So what happened to her?
but you
There's gotta
believe
be a
it's a
story.
bad thing.
She just stuck to her
Inherently
class.
evil,
Some people say
apparently.
she ran away. Some say she
So it's
jumped
like,
off a cliff.
why
hope
aren't
she's
you
Okay.
not
Why don't we
castrating,
start
because they don't
drawing?
have balls to begin with.
Even though I might be a step down
Why
from
aren't you completely
No way, you're a
ostracizing
good
every
substitute nurse.
woman that transitions to become a man? Which I know that the
Oh, that's
essentially the
a good question.
ostracization of just being a man in this day and age does happen to trans men, because there's stories out there about how they expect to get all the male privilege. It's like, well, it's not. It's been stripped away. It's not to say stripped away either. Just it's been the evenness we've had has been
Best
destabilized.
portrait ever.
The evenness, the actual equality that we have actually strived to work for, and we have done pretty well at maintaining, has been just, you know, it's just because, you know, we can't have equality. We have to just tip things over to the people that we feel are justified because of, you know, the fact that they, you know, things were bad before. I like the world of I like the world that we strived for, that we had.
Clever.
Anyway, so again, the bizarroness to me about
Hello?
Max, I don't feel like talking.
Ashley Birch's claims on Chloe's gender identity was that
What's
if you
wrong?
play the actual
Nathan
game,
Prescott, little rich bitch kid.
there was
He thinks he can
nothing
own people
about
like his
her that
parents
was
owned
like,
Blackwell.
yeah, I feel like a
Always
man
the
today or
vortex
whatever.
club.
It was
Yes, he's
Chloe
a
was
nasty
girl
piece of
power.
work.
She was like, yeah, man, we'll take the guns and we'll run this bitch.
I
She was a
busted
rebel.
him
She was a
with
punk.
gun.
What?
Like, you could say those are masculine
I saw him
traits,
wave a gun around today, and I
but
watched the principal.
she didn't
We'll see what
identify
happens
as a man
You are my new
when she
hero.
did those things. She was essentially,
Blackwell.
fuck yeah, girl power. Riot girl, essentially. And as far as I know, those women are proud to be women and identify as women. So I get that. It's bizarre. It doesn't make sense. Like, Ashley Birch, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She's just an actor. And then she's like, oh, I'm going to be a writer now, and I'm going to decide what I think the character is because, you know, this fucking headcanon that I decided to have. Like, did you even fucking play the game that you were in? Did you remember the lines you read? Like, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I can, like, view his photo album if I, like, get something. What was it?
Sorry, I have to get back to my portfolio. No time for amateurs.
Eh,
No
beh,
offense,
beh, beh.
Max.
Eh, beh, beh, beh. Eh, beh, 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 beh. You're kind of a fucking tool, dude. Like, seriously, straight up.
Steve McCurry?
time.
I love how it's like it's so obvious that's the wrong choice when she starts talking. She's like, Steve McCurry?
No portfolio.
Is it anyway?
Eugene Smith.
Well, they both were famous war photographer images, but you should know the difference. Good try.
Fucking pretentious asshole. But anyway, yeah. So
Hey, Evan.
I was like, okay,
Let's see if you're worthy of it,
I can
Max.
skip Before the Storm. I have no interest,
Robert Capa.
especially with
Chris.
him out there trying to
I
charge
love his
for
work,
like
despite
3
the
episode
controversy
season,
about that photo.
like barely saving any money if you get the season
This
pass
guy
and whatnot. I was just
Charles
like, I'm good.
That's why I'm here.
I mean, come on. I'm like I'm a poor
Would you care for a perusal of my
fucking
portfolio?
like
It's not a privilege
cheap
I grant to
motherfucker. I'm
I'd be
gonna try to
honored, sir.
shave off money as much as I can, despite the fact that I bought Life is Strange 3 fucking times.
And Rachel Amber's face.
Yeah, so it's like everyone knew Rachel Amber. Everyone had a picture of her. Everyone had something to say about her. Everyone loved her in some way or another. Laura Palmer. Everyone loved Laura Palmer. Again, was there something new with this dude to be like all nice to him and stuff? I don't remember.
Max, I don't feel like talking.
I guess not. There was a what's wrong?
What's wrong?
Nathan.
Yeah,
Yes.
Nathan Prescott. Yeah,
you
so, yeah, busted him. There we go.
I busted him to.
What?
Yeah, and he's all
saw
like,
him with-
yeah, awesome.
You.
You are too. He was like, you're the. It's like that's not like her. Does Max identify as a man there because she did something assertive, like busting some like, oh man, gender isn't even like an identity. It's like just a mood. It's just
Maybe
how
when
you
I really
feel,
wanna turn more
which is what they
fashionable.
used to say, but they don't. I don't think I've heard them say it's a mood, but we're getting so crazy they might as well say it's that. But ugh.